Some managers think they are overpowered, others just hate them, and a few even wanna ban them altogether. In this video, we are going to talk about how to beat a long shot team. Hey guys, I'm Uncle Mish and I'm doing Hattrick content for you. Hopefully you like my videos and could subscribe to the channel to help it grow. And now without further ado, let's talk about how to beat a long shot team. As always, I'll leave timestamps in the description below if you just wanna skip ahead to your preferred tactic. But let's start. So, talking about history, long shot been in Hattrick for a long time, but not always this tactic was so used or considered overpowered. In 2009, some managers thinking that was a laughable tactic, and a research was started by a Dutch manager only at that year. But a few seasons and years passed, and then the reign of the long shot teams started. The first big success of long shot teams came in 2014 when a German team called Boca won the German Cup on April Fool's Day, and I kid you not. After this, the beloved Buccaneers from Holland won 2 cups in July and November 2014, and then a Dutch team called Mokkels really stepped it up, with ratings going to divine midfield and over divine defense, winning the Dutch championship. Now the long shot teams really reign supreme, especially in tournaments when the team confidence is restricted and normal teams are finding it hard to generate enough attack ratings. So here we could see the last 2 supporter cups were won by long shot teams, not always deservedly, but they did win this, and that's pretty amazing. Here, it's time to stop the long shot train, and I'm here to help you. We have a few methods. So let's analyze the long shot teams. They have some strength and some weaknesses. They have very high midfield, their defensive superb, they have high set pieces on all their players, and they are absolutely tournament gods. But they still have weaknesses and they could bleed. They are very predictable, they have no attack, they are very possession dependent, and they are prone to pressing. So there are 2 ways to approach this. Either you have a GG team, a very competitive, very good one, very well balanced, or you are a complete underdog, and that's okay as well, because we love underdogs and they could be especially successful against long shot teams. So for a really good team, and I'll go through the steps in a few moments. So you should win midfield, optimize your formation, have strong attack, and maybe use tactics. There you don't need really defense, use players with specialties, maybe with the creative tactic. Sometimes use sitting midfield, have a really good goalkeeper. You could use the tactical assistant and also use a few overpowered tactics against a very predictable teams like wingers as offensive wingbacks, inner midfielders to boost your midfield, and also man marking his players. On the other side, if you're an underdog team, you just need to press, and this way you could really frustrate the long shot team. Maybe you could use free sitting inner midfielders, a nice goalkeeper, and that's about it. You don't really need nothing else, and you could skip away with a few points against even the best long shot teams in the world. So let's go through the formations, and optimizing your formation is so important. Some managers making crucial mistake against long shot teams. Remember, you don't need any defense rating, like none. That means on the right side you could use only 2 defensive players, maybe wingbacks, offensive wingbacks to boost your attack, like in the first formation, or in this formation use an offensive wing center defender to boost your midfield, and use a man marker as well. What mistakes some coaches do? They use more than 2 defensive players, and sometimes using up to 4 players in their formation. You don't need to do this against a long shot team, and even playing defensive orders on your wing backs or wingers, that's just plain stupid against long shot team. So remember to optimize your formation. Then strong attack, and I really want to thank the manager Hoopson. He's a really cool guy, and he played 2 games against long shot team. He played more than 2 games, but we were discussing 2 especially important games in his supporter week trophy of this season. He won his quarterfinal and he lost, unfortunately, his final. He lost this game. So his thoughts that it's very important to have high attack rating, and obviously you need to break the defense of the long shot teams. So try to optimize your attack. In this formation, he's playing his wingers to the center and using free offensive inner midfielders to generate as much attack as possible. Remember, it is a tournament game, so his confidence is very restricted, and getting 20 free attack in the center, that's pretty cool. He is using the attack from the center as well. Apart from this, he did run a 100 replays, and he should won this game 73 times out of 100, so he was very unfortunate not to win this match. So remember, generate as much attack as possible, maybe from the center, maybe from the side, and use the tactic accordingly. Let's go forward. So it's very important to have players with specialties as well, and also you could use the play creative tactic. A lot of long shot teams have really good specialities as well on their players, but if you both have good specialities and you are the one using the play creative tactic, you are increasing your chances to get the special events and thus scoring against a long shot team who has immense amount of defense, and sometimes it's very hard to break this defense. Also remember, they are very predictable and they have no attack at all. So if you do have a tactical assistant, just place him to play as much offensive as possible. If you have a neutral coach, let him play 50% more offensive. Just boost your attack ratings, and the downside of lowering your defense rating as it will be unnoticed even. Then a few pointers here. So if you are an underdog team, you should play pressing. In this particular match, the Estonian Veromano is one of the best long shot teams currently in Hattrick, and they are playing against a very mediocre team who could frustrate them into a draw in this match. They were using the pressing tactic, and they did press for attacks in this game. Also, they were playing a quick wing back, and they did block special a quick attack as well. So that's just a cool thing to do as well. They were using a sitting midfielder here, so you could see a powerful defensive inner midfielder, sitting midfielder in this game. He could have helped them to press some of the attacks. So what the pressing do? They press an attack from one of the teams, but if you are the underdog, you are losing midfield by a lot, and obviously the long shot team will probably get most of the attacks in this game. So every time you press an attack, it's probably their attack, and if they got the attack, and they should get a long shot, before the long shot is calculated, the match engine checks if your pressing attack presses their long shot as well. So they are doubly more prone to have their attack pressed, the long shot teams. If you're using a sitting midfielder, you can press even further more attacks of the other team. So that's amazing. As I mentioned before, you having a really good goalkeeper with set pieces could block a lot of special event of long shot teams as well. And then how to take advantage of the fact that long shot teams are so predictable, having no attack at all? Well, we could use other players in our 2 defensive positions that I mentioned before. Maybe you could use another winger as an offensive wing back, boosting your wing attack in the side. You could use an inner midfielder as an offensive center defender to even more increase your midfield if you are struggling, if you are trying to generate as much midfield as possible. And also you could use one of the defensive positions just to place a man marker on one of their inner midfielders and just lower their midfield as well. And here the temp coach trick I was talking about before, that I do have a trick up my sleeve, and I was actually playing against a long shot team in my first match fixture in this season. So my coach dropped to weak leadership and I really wanted or needed to replace him. But instead of just replacing him, I am using the temporary coach trick. So I waited before the game against the long shot team, and about half an hour before the match, I switched my coach, my old coach, to a temporary weak coach that is fond of attacking, especially for this game. And it boosted my attack ratings by about level and a half overall. That's pretty good against a long shot team. And after the match ended, I changed this temporary coach to my permanent coach that I prepared from before. So sometimes when the timing is just perfect, you could use this temporary coach trick to surprise long shot team and generate great attack ratings. And I actually ended up winning this game pretty comfortably. So that would be it. That's how you beat a long shot team. Hope you enjoyed this content. You could like and subscribe. If you have other ideas of how to surprise and beat long shot teams, please comment. I would love to hear your opinion. And as always, just remember, Hattrick is more than a game, it's a community. And I'll definitely see you around in my next videos.